Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And you know the drill by now, we're kicking off a new year here in 2025. The chunk of conversation coming up with John Randall and I after I rattle off some of the stuff that I've been playing here is kind of all over the place. It's a short and sweet conversation from kind of right after we finished up our holiday recording session. And kind of veer off into a little PS4 conversation off of my Uncharted 4 resolution. And then John's been dusting off DJ's PS4 to play a few things, talk a little FromSoft. We end up veering off into a little bit of a retro Sunsoft conversation as well off of my Euphoria 2 The Saga pickup. And even getting to a little gimmick too. It's just been kind of cool to see Sunsoft kind of making a little bit of like a quote unquote comeback, even if it's not the original team members making these games, at least to the best of my knowledge. But even, like speculating, like maybe what if they bring back an old school NES Batman style game or something like that? Obviously, a licensing game or licensed game or something like that is probably not going to happen, but you never know. We see, we got the tribute, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. We've definitely had some like indie, incarnations of these like kind of popular old franchises or whatever or licensed games, so it's it's not impossible, but I do feel like Batman's maybe a little bit bigger of a franchise that might be a little bit out of reach for a little indie studio or even like retro indie studio, whatever you want to consider Sunsoft now these days. But I guess on the topic of PS4, before I get over to, or before I kick the ball over to John Randall and I for some conversation here, I did dust my PS4 off, like I said, get ready for my resolution game. I know I've in the past kind of waited until the very, very end of the year, like October, November. This last year, I did just a little bit better with my resolution game. And this year I was, made sure my PS4 was still working, got it all hooked up and everything again, because I really have not turned that thing on in a long time. And I think last time I talked about it, I talked about Everybody's Golf, and I still have to do this where, like, when I put a disc into the system, it, like, starts spinning and doesn't, like, properly sit into the drive or something, and I have to just keep kind of, like, tapping on the top of the PS4 with my hand until it, like, jostles the disc into the right position so that it starts spinning. So, nonetheless, I, like, played a few downloadable games, and actually, I guess I'll talk about that first, because I was just, like, remembering all the stuff, because PS4 and PS3 used to be kind of my go-to gaming consoles. I mean, I had a Wii and I had a Wii U, and obviously I have a Switch and everything, but it just kind of like up until I had my Switch, I would say my PlayStation was definitely my go-to, both for like watching Blu-rays, and it was like my main, entertainment system console setup that I had. But yeah, like I said, I haven't played games on it in a long time, so I decided I actually kind of forgot about some of the games I had. Like I had The Last Guardian. I totally forgot that DJ got that for me for either like my birthday or Christmas or something one year. A few other games, and I kind of got sidetracked there talking about some of the I was about to talk about some of the downloadable stuff. So yeah, when I popped in the first disc that I was going to play, and it was not Uncharted 4, I was actually like another game that I was considering making my resolution game on top of Metroid Prime Remastered was Horizon Zero Dawn. And I think we might have even talked about that briefly, or it came up on like a Save It for the Cast conversation, or I talked about it with John for a brief minute where he was like, yeah, you're always talking about how you want to try to play a bigger game again or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to, against my better judgment, try to dive into a bigger game here on PlayStation before Uncharted. Last thing I need to kind of sidetrack me from getting to my resolution game. I was all proud of myself for getting to it kind of early. Yeah, well, I popped in Horizon Zero Dawn. It took like, I don't know why it does this on PlayStation. I kind of forgot, but it has to like install like a whole huge chunk. It took like a half an hour. So in the meantime, while I was waiting for that to install, I hopped on. I forgot I had PixelJunk Shooter Ultimate, and I just talked about PixelJunk Eden 2 the other week on the Save It for the Cast, and I was like, oh, I totally forgot about this game, and I totally forgot, too, that it's like they kind of remade the visuals and the particle effects. Like, it definitely looks really, really clean, and I don't think I had ever even fired this version up before. But the cool thing about it is, back on PlayStation 3, I think they both released, there was PixelJunk Shooter 1 and 2. I guess the original one was just called, didn't have a 1 in the title, but this just stitches both of those campaigns together seamlessly into like one massive campaign. I think it says there's 150 levels, but it's just like a really cool, kind of more relaxing, like twin stick shooter where it's definitely difficult, but it's more about like your ship can overheat and there's water and lava and there's all sorts of different stuff too. But in the early goings, Water and lava are kind of the main thing. If you like take your ship, you can fly right into the water and totally cool yourself down instantly. But when you're firing your shots, or if you hold down fire, you kind of launch some homing missiles, and that kind of increases your, ship's heat on top of just being near lava, kind of increases your heat. But you can pick up shields. You can pick up like these diamond collectibles, and then the main kind of goal of the game is to rescue all the like abandoned. They're just like your companions or whatever, your teammates. You're just trying to rescue them, I guess. They almost look like little like scuba divers or something, or I don't know. They're in like kind of big yellow suits. But yeah, you just scoop them up, and there's a certain set amount of them on each stage. It's kind of broken up into individual screens. There's a little bit of scrolling on the screens sometimes, but like individual rooms, I guess. But yeah, I just really, really like the kind of new. It's not new anymore, obviously. I don't know how long ago this like iteration of the game came out, but it's just really cool to see like the new direction they went with the art style. Again, not all that different, but it just really cleans it up. It almost looks like it's like made out of like a clay or something. Like it definitely looks a lot more tangible, where those or the original art style I remember being a lot more like really clean and flat and nice, but like a more like flat 2D presentation. So it's really cool to kind of fire that game up for a minute and forget that, oh man, this is pretty cool. And it does have 2-player co-op. So I'm really pumped to actually dig back into that one. I only played a couple levels, but I was like, okay, I'm into this. But then back to Horizon Zero Dawn after about a half hour of playing PixelJunk Shooter and checking out the first few levels. My download finished for Horizon Zero Dawn, so I jumped on over to that. And I probably played the first like 45 minutes or so of this game. And to be fair, not a ton of that was gameplay. Like I was, I'm still in like the early sections here with, you're still playing as like a child version of the main character, Aloy. But I will say like the opening like story bit was kind of as soon as you start the game, it plays like an opening cutscene, and then it like, which leads up right to the menu screen. And just like the way it like, it's almost like a film. Like it really like how like you'll watch a film and it'll have like a delayed like title screen or something like that, like after like a short maybe 3 to 5 minute intro, or sometimes even longer. But like it really had a great effect. This is before you've even played anything in the game, and then you start the game, and then right off the bat, like again, I've only played like the opening 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And I got to a point where like my like adopted father is like trying to teach me how to hunt and gather and everything like that. And as soon as he's like, hey, go gather all these twigs or go gather all these rocks to make some arrows. And like I'd already gathered a bunch of like herbs and flowers for health and rocks for throwing to distract enemies. And I was, as soon as he said that, I was like, I'm done. And I was just like, I know I'm not going to have the patience and time to play this game, at least not right now, probably not ever. I really honestly like wasn't all that impressed with like the way the movement felt. Again, I obviously barely played anything, but like jumping felt and looked really awkward. Apart from that, the game looked really good. But it did like just have like a little bit of a disconnect and break with like the animations of the characters during the cutscenes, like didn't fully line up with like the environment they were traversing, or just weird things that like just looked a little weird and like not cheap because it's a good looking game. But it just was not tickling my fancy. So with that said, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pop in Uncharted 4 and actually give this game a try again. And I was half tempted. I still had my save file from before, and I had mentioned on the Save It for the Cast, or maybe on the actual episode, the holiday episode here, that I had played a little bit of Uncharted 4 before and got to like the opening kind of like, not museum heist. There's like, now that I'm playing it again, there's like an auction, and you go and you're trying to like steal this specific, piece that you're after before somebody else buys it, your former partner and everything like that. And with Uncharted 4, I'm 8, chapters into the game now, and it says there's 24 chapters. So I'm assuming the early chapters are maybe a little bit shorter or something like that, because I don't feel like there's any chance I've played through a third of the game. And I'm not going to dig too deep into it right now, because I do want to save this for an actual proper, podcast episode, so I can talk about it with the guys here, because I know Randall's played some of this one as well. And just to, reiterate, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 are among some of my favorite video game experiences that I've ever had, especially 2 and 3. 1 was great, but I tried to go back to it after playing. I think I might have even beat it again on hard mode, and it definitely was like, it definitely just isn't quite as good as, or polished, or they definitely learned some things from that first game and then, implemented them in the second and third games that really kind of like streamline the combat or the gameplay or whatever it was. It just made it feel a little bit smoother or intuitive. And Uncharted 4, in the early goings here, every time I get into a combat section, I'm getting just so frustrated. Like it's the enemies just take so many shots. Like I remember in Uncharted 2 and 3, at least to the best of my recollection, if you got like a headshot on an enemy, and I'm just playing on normal difficulty here, they were done, like pretty much. Maybe you had to hit them one more time. And in this game, it seems like I'm like lined up exactly on their head, and I'm just like, you basically got to empty like a full clip into an enemy to take them down. Aiming seems to be a little more difficult. Obviously, I can turn on aim assist. There's some different options I can tweak and stuff like that to maybe make it a little more comfortable to play or make myself a little bit more efficient at the gun battles and stuff, because I'm just so bad at it. I don't know. And I was really good at playing Uncharted 2 and 3. I'm not like any kind of master, and 1 as well. But yeah, I mean, I was intending on going back and replaying all of them on hard mode. I think I just kind of lost my momentum at some point in time. But like the gunplay was one of the like standout features. Even though it was simple, it was just like a cover shooter like Gears of War with a little more speed to it or something, and like a little bit of sneaking around and whatnot. But I feel like this game just kind of got away from that a little bit. I don't know if they wanted to like make the gunfights like more drawn out and more, quote unquote epic or something like that. But I've been really disappointed with the combat, and that's to say, like, I'm playing this on PS4 here, and it's a PlayStation 4 game, and it's honestly, it looks amazing. Like there's moments where I'm kind of getting lost in the cutscene and like kind of forgetting that I'm not just watching a movie. I mean, I'm not saying they look like real people, but just with like the way I had the lighting in my room and the settings on my TV or whatever, I was really, really impressed. I was sitting there playing this game thinking, this is probably the best looking video game that I personally have ever played, on any piece of equipment that I own. I know there's more powerful PCs out there running Crysis or whatever the heck else with 1 million frames per second. And, there's better looking games without a doubt, but I'm just so impressed with like the character movement. Like there's obviously awkward things here and there, like Sully's like galloping down the stairs while Nathan's just like, slovenly walking down, or, so slowly tiptoeing down the stairs. It's like, why this is so weird and awkward, because they have to just pace out this conversation. And the areas to explore, like the level pathing and guiding is like so much more open-ended in this game. Like I felt like the original games in the series, the first 3, like it felt almost like you're like basically running down a corridor. I mean, there's little nooks and crannies to explore and different, winding paths here and there. But like this game, I just feel like I'm getting lost left and right, and they're constantly like, having you run around with your brother or with another character, talking in your ear, Sully in your headset, or your brother just like filling in backstory. And it's good. I'm enjoying the story that they're filling in, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. It's the pacing of the game. It just feels so off. And that was what I loved so much about those first 3 games. It was like, here's an 8 to 10 hour game that's just action packed from start to finish. And not that I need the action packed. I'm actually really enjoying the story, like I said, but, it just feels like, and not to say that some of the elements aren't falling a little flat or a little bit cheesy, but I'm still like, I'm enjoying the story more than I'm enjoying the gameplay, which I can definitely not say for the first 3 games. I enjoyed the story to a degree, but it's definitely just cheesy, Indiana Jones, wannabe with some cheesy, quippy dialogue lines. And, it's more of the same here. It feels even a little bit more ham-fisted, I guess. But nonetheless, I don't know. I know I talked a big game, and I was like, I'm definitely going to see this game all the way through this year. I'm going to beat it. And now that I'm 8 chapters in, I'm like, I don't know. The last thing I was doing was pushing this giant crate from one side of the map area that I was in to another, and it took like multiple minutes to move this thing, and there's no fun to the gameplay at all. It's just this big unwieldy crate on wheels on a tilted hill mountainside that's like impossible to control. So I'm really not having a ton of fun with this one so far, in spite of enjoying being kind of sucked into the story a little bit, but to a small degree. But I've been playing a few other things on Switch here and there, but I think I'm going to keep it short and sweet for the intro here, so I can kick the ball over to John, Randall, and I for a little more video games chit chat, kind of PlayStation heavy, but a little retro talk in there as well, or I guess modern retro, along with a few other things. But yeah, as always, hope everyone has a great start to the new year here, and we'll catch you next week. And until then, take care.
The other game that I do want to go back to on PS4 is Bloodborne. Now that I've played enough From Software games.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I could probably actually competently play that game now, because I think the first time I went around, I'm like, it's too hard. I don't understand this.
It is hard.
I can't level up until I beat the first boss, and I'm not good.
And you don't get a shield, right? Isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah, it's something. Like,
you're rolling around.
There's like 3 weapons, and you gain more health if you kill enemies, or like something like that. It's its own bespoke thing. Like,
yeah. Which is cool.
Sekiro, and I was so fucking bad at Sekiro.
Yeah. My buddy Steve went all out on Sekiro, but I'm not sicko mode enough for that. What that game sounds like it is, I just can't imagine.
That's still the one I want to play out of all of them, but I know I'll probably never get around.
Just sounds like it just beats your ass.
Yeah,
it's just learning how to parry, the one skill I've never learned how to do in any in all of my Dark Souls playthroughs. I've never bothered to learn parrying, and it's like, hey, fuck you, learn how to do this, otherwise you can't play this game. And I was like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, I feel like even with Elden Ring, in my time with that, I was like, I need to really be better at this with parrying and otherwise I'm just gonna absorb damage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the Monster Hunter of it all, whereas like the more I play games in the series, the better I become at all of them. Like by the time that I started playing Dark Souls 3 for the second time, I was like, oh, this is a lot easier once I've internalized how dodging works in From Software games. Like,
yes.
I was like, oh, there's an entire area where I won't get hit by this boss, and all I have to do is dodge into that area, and then I can beat this boss in no effort.
Yeah.
But if I'm stubborn and try to beat it the way I want to, I will die immediately.
Oh, yeah.
I should go back to Sekiro.
I bet you could get Bloodborne on PS4. Well, maybe not. I probably shouldn't speak too soon. Like, I bet that might be cheaper because they did that. Didn't they do a PS5 port of that, or am I just talking out my ass now? No, that was Demon Souls they did that with.
Yes, that was Demon Souls. But I mean, it's DJ's PS4, and he still has all the games on it. So
hell yeah,
nice.
We've got that, and then I'm trying to think of what other. In the time that I've borrowed it from it, I've almost bought every single game that was on it for myself for Steam Deck. So
I get
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm limited now to the Sony exclusives, which are Bloodborne and Spider-Man, and I should play those Spider-Man games.
Yeah,
I do want to play those. Those look really fun.
Yeah, tackling one of those would be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
that would have been a good resolution game too. I don't own it, but
yeah.
I kind of felt the urge though to just like I want to pick a bigger game. Like I can play these indie games all day long, but want to commit
a bigger
to
game
playing.
in the backlog too. Like
and something like I was just reorganizing my physical copies of my games a little bit, and I was like, I kind of forgot I had this Uncharted 4 like kind of collector's edition. I think I got it from DJ actually. He was selling, just getting rid of his games. He's like, if you give me $20 or whatever, I was like, I'll take that for that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Even though he peeled off the sticker and it like ripped off the. It's got one of those like circle stickers, which I did that. To be fair, I did it many times until I learned the way. You just got to cut it. And you're never going to be able to peel that sticker off without ripping the box. You just got to cut it and leave the sticker on.
Yes, we don't accept damage.
Maybe you could like heat it up. Like if you heated up the sticker with like a hair dryer or something, maybe you could peel it off and like warm up the adhesive, but too risky.
That is too risky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just got to leave the stickers on. I was kind of annoyed. I don't know if annoyed is even the right word, but I bought that Euphoria the Saga 2 physical copy.
Yeah.
And there's like a sticker, like I thought it was on the wrapping, but it's actually on like the case of the box. It just says like Sunsoft is back. It's kind of weird. It's like very deliberately placed. So it's like it looks like it's there on purpose. And I did find a couple pictures online of other people that had them like that. But I was like, this looks very much like it was supposed to be on the wrapping and not on the game case.
Was there Sunsoft iconography on that case otherwise, or did they just legitimately forget to like put the logo on the label?
I think it says like Sunsoft somewhere on like the side or like, the logo or like the developer or publisher or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is very clearly like kind of like almost like a little advertisement sticker, like Sunsoft is back.
We bought the branding, the Sunsoft.
I know, yeah. Although I heard somebody say that Gimmick 2 was really, really good. I saw somebody say that was the best platformer they played in years.
Did that actually come out and I just like that passed me by completely? I saw the trailer and stuff.
It did come out. The physical copy's not out yet, but the digital release has released.
Oh, okay.
I don't love that art style, but
yeah,
I don't hate it either, but it's
no,
just
I'm
like,
with you.
It's like lacks the personality a little bit. It's a little too clean.
Yes. I totally agree.
But I'm still curious, especially after I think it was just like a Steam review, like not an actual like review, but somebody just saying this is the best platformer I've played in years.
Yeah, the reviews are actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't been in love with Euphoria the Saga 2. I've been enjoying playing it and like having fun with it, but it's not.
Is it a remake?
It like is, but it isn't. So it's like basically the original game was like a Metroidvania.
Right.
This game essentially, like, instead of being a Metroidvania, every time you enter like a new zone of the map, it like procedurally generates that zone. I guess kind of Chasm style, but like not really. You're just basically play like a little short side scroller stage, and then it just like connects to the next area. And it's just like it's kind of like rinse and repeat. Do this, go to this area, do it again.
Yeah.
I haven't really been like all that compelled with the gameplay, but like at the same time, it's like charming enough that, and like something about like the lack of challenge is like keeping me. I don't know how to explain it.
No,
just like here's like just a relaxing game to just kind of play and enjoy the scenery.
Absolutely.
The humor is a little lacking. Like they're trying to like be funny, and it's just like, it's like kind of funny, but it's like. Not, you know?
Yeah.
Like at one point, I haven't seen this in the game yet, but at one point in the game, like you kind of like live in this little tree house or whatever that you kind of start at, and like the hub of the world map. And like there's next to your bed, there's like a little toilet. And like in the like little, at the end of the trailer, they show like your main character like drinking out of the toilet and going like, oh, so refreshing. And it's like, okay, this is not funny and not at all like in line with like the tone of the original game.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's kind of cool. But it definitely, like, it's kind of doing that, like, Yoshi's Woolly World, Crafted World kind of vibe to the art style, but nowhere near as well done, in my opinion. Like, it looks cool, but it doesn't look anywhere near as well thought out and, like, actually crafty as those games do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that probably doesn't have nearly the budget, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's for sure. But still kind of cool that it even exists.
Yeah,
definitely.
Said, God,
we're going to make a sequel that kind of adds some procedural generation to the mix,
for sure.
Just weird. And then, make a sequel to Gimmick. So it's like, hey, even if they bought the rights to it, if they're going to kind of do it right, like, hey, let's see what happens. I'm definitely curious to see what they can do with
a couple of properties I would have never expected to get any sort of sequel. That's for sure.
Who knows? Maybe they'll end up getting some Batman rights and making a new Batman NES game.
Yeah, those are tremendous.
Those are awesome. That wall jumping just felt so fun.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
And the animation of that wall jumping was just like, God, so good.
Yep, on NES no less.
Yeah. It's like somehow that like animation had like 10 extra frames than anything else did. Just so good.
Yeah, they could push it. Those late NES games, they're magic.
Yeah. But still felt like pretty responsive, where like normally you think of like those games that have all the extra frames and it's like, okay, Prince of Persia, you know.
Yep.
Oh, actually, speaking of, I actually just bought, it was on sale for like $18. I bought that new Prince of Persia like side scrolling game.
I saw that they were clearancing that off the last few months.
I was like, that's like cheap enough. And I was like, it actually got pretty good reviews, looked pretty fun.
Yeah.
I played just a couple seconds of it, and the gameplay, combat, and stuff does seem pretty cool.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I was happy to pick that up for like $18.
I would definitely be curious to hear your thoughts on that if you end up playing more of that at some point.
I definitely will. Yeah, I was very much enjoying it, and I was
That's
like,
cool.
it looks like way more actiony. Like it definitely looks like it's steering away a little bit from like the true, core identity of those games, I guess, if you will.
The Lost Crown, yeah.
But pretty fun, yeah. With a little bit I played. And pretty I like the style of it. It's not like insane, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, considering the last one of the Prince of Persia games they released was a while before.
Oh, really?
I feel like it's been a long time since we had seen.
I guess it's been a minute, yeah.
Oh yeah, geez. There's you could get it for like $15 from places. Holy moly.
Yeah. I was like, that just seems too cheap to not just snag it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, even if I don't like it, I can probably sell it for $15 anyways. So.
Definitely. I always periodically check to make sure that pursuingpixels.com actually still works. And it still works.
It does indeed. I check it every once in a while too.
I'm
and all the other stuff too.
When was the last time you played an Uncharted game?
Probably since whenever I tried playing Uncharted 4 last and like just gave up on it.
There's that other one too. There's the Lost something or another.
Oh yeah, with Lost Legacy with Chloe or whatever.
That one got a little bit better reviews, I feel like, maybe even.
Because I think that was more of like just like the same engine as 3. Like I think they just kind of like spun off that game.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like I think it was originally going to be a DLC for Uncharted 3, and then they like spun it off into like a $40 standalone game.
Yes. Maybe even DLC for 3 or 4. It was in that sort of territory.
I'm pretty sure it came out before 4, unless I'm thinking of a different game.
No, you might.
Uncharted 4 came out in 2016.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
like 8 years.
And Lost
ago.
Legacy was 17. It looks like from Wikipedia.
Wow,
really?
Yeah.
It was an expansion, and then Legacy of Thieves Collection was in 2022.
Oh,
wait, Lost Legacy came out after Uncharted 4?
Mm-hmm. It was in a standalone expansion.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was a PS3 game for some reason.
Well, this was considered one of the greatest video games ever made, Kevin.
Hey, man.
According to Wikipedia.
Uncharted 2 and 3. Uncharted 2, up until you have to fight that final boss, is one of the best games I've ever played.
It is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2 is very good.
Yeah. That boss battle at the end is so fucking
Is that the big dude and you're in kind of the small jungle area?
Yeah, and you just keep like running around in circles and blasting them with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst boss battles I've ever played, and I like just kept playing it again and again and again because like I gotta beat this game at this point.
Oh yeah,
because Uncharted 3 had like kind of an equally annoying ending, but like it was at least like more fun or more like.
What was the ending of 3?
I remember there's like that Marlowe character, and then you're kind of like running and like the sand is kind of all like. You know, everything's like getting swallowed up by the sand, and you're kind of like running and jumping to the next platform.
That's like that whole game, though.
Yeah, that's true.
My brain is just dust when it comes to that stuff that came out. That 2011. It came out in 2011. Yeah. No wonder.
Uncharted 3?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit.
Good Lord.